Last week, the Lunduke Journal broke the story that Xorg had been forked. The new forked project, known as X Libre, was almost immediately, like within minutes, the victim of mass bannings and censorship at the hands of FreeDesktop, which is the project that hosts Xorg, as well as by Red Hat. This story is truly, truly bizarre. I'm going to run through all the details now to kind of catch everyone up. So on June 5th, about 4 days ago, we broke the story here that X Libre, the fork of the Xorg server, came out. Now, the developer in question was hosting initially that fork of Xorg on the FreeDesktop servers. Now, FreeDesktop is a project that hosts a number of different open source projects, including Xorg. So this just sort of made sense from that point of view. What happened next was weird, incredibly weird. Within minutes of the Lunduke Journal story, the FreeDesktop.org team went into full-on lockdown mode. In particular, there was a bug that I highlighted inside that video that kind of showed the need for forking Xorg. It was a singular bug report that was listing all of the merge requests, not even all of them, just a good chunk of important merge requests that were bug fixes, code cleanup, security issues, that sort of thing, that had been waiting to be merged into and made part of an Xorg release. There was just lots of bugs that people needed to get fixed, and this was just one big mass list of them. Bugs that for some reason the Xorg team did not want to merge in because the Xorg team had not been making new releases. I mean, they'd just been letting it stagnate. In fact, inside this bug report itself, people from the Xorg leadership were saying pretty much flat out that it was just a pipe dream that you could even make new Xorg releases. That was crazy talk. We got to put everything into Wayland now. And it was basically, they were admitting that they were just abandoning Xorg. Well, if people and developers didn't want to abandon Xorg, the natural response to that is to fork it, right? We're talking open source here. If a project's being abandoned and there's other developers that want to keep it going, you fork it. It's pretty straightforward. Well, the Xorg and FreeDesktop team decided, you know what? The heck with that. We're nuking that. So that bug report, which had existed for 6-7+ months, has been nuked entirely. It's gone. The most complete record of it is if you watch the June 4th or June 5th video that I made. I scrolled through the whole thing so you can see it all. And then it gets even more crazy. A Red Hat employee working, from my understanding, on behalf of Red Hat, who is also on the Code of Conduct Committee for FreeDesktop, which hosts Xorg. And in fact, this is pretty common. Red Hat has a tremendous amount of control over Xorg and FreeDesktop. Then went on a spree of mass closing merge requests. It's just the weirdest thing. There are within Xorg hundreds, if not thousands, by some count, over 3,000 merge requests waiting. Now, I looked through a lot of them, and most of them seemed pretty simple and basic. A bug fix here, a little bit of code cleanup over there. Really straightforward stuff. Some of them are a little bit larger than others, but overall, we're talking thousands of merge requests that have just been sitting around waiting. If you compiled all those together, you would have one of the most important and significant Xorg releases in maybe more than a decade, but they've been squashed, right? So these merge requests have been sitting there, not touched. No one has been willing to make an Xorg release with these merge requests for years and years. And what a Red Hat employee did, a Red Hat employee by the name of Carol Herbst, who has little rust crabs all over over his online profile, he went through and mass closed all of them. So if you go through, it is just a graveyard now. And they're not implemented. These weren't closed, resolved, fixed, and merged. No, it was just, let's never look at these again. Mass close without comment, nothing at all to do. Let's never look at them again. So FreeDesktop and Red Hat employees are not only deleting these, but the ones they aren't deleting, they're mass closing, just in bulk. And of course, they immediately follow that up by blocking the user account of the guy who did the fork. And this guy, of course, again, was responsible for 63% of all the merge requests in Xorg last year. If you look through, in fact, the news coverage of this particular guy and of Xorg, you'll find everyone from Phoronix to the Register and other tech journalist publications mention that, yeah, it seems like as far as Xorg goes, this guy is, quote, the Lone Ranger. Well, FreeDesktop and Red Hat blocked him from contributing and nuked the X Libre repository, the Xorg fork. They nuked the repository entirely. Boom, gone. So what did they do? They moved X Libre over to GitHub. So if you go to github.com/x11libre, there is now a GitHub source repository for all of that, because again, it has just been nuked by Red Hat, FreeDesktop, and Xorg for whatever reason. And I cannot get an answer out of any of these organizations. They do not want, here, let me see, do I have a list up here? Yes, they do not want to talk about this, and they don't want anyone else to know about it. I've reached out to the board of the Xorg Foundation, individually and as a group. I've reached out to the FreeDesktop org points of contact, including their Code of Conduct Committee, which includes people working at Red Hat who are censoring and silencing all of this. And I've been trying to get some sort of a response. What is the idea here? What are they going for? Are they opposed to Xorg being forked? It's an open source project. Why would they be opposed to that? Why would they ban things? Why are they closing out all these merge requests? Are they saying that they don't want to develop Xorg, but at the same time they don't want anyone else to develop Xorg either? It's bizarre. I can't get a response from anyone. Not from Red Hat, not from FreeDesktop, not from Xorg. Nothing, nada, zilch. They will not respond. A few other little tidbits here, because I want to point a few things out. So it's up on GitHub right now, and you can check it out. Last I have heard, and I am not affiliated with this Xorg fork, not at all. I'm watching it interestedly as an X11 user. I would like to see X11 continue, please, even just as an option, just so we have more than one prominent display server going on. But one of the things I wanted to point out to people is that the X11 Libre, the X Libre project, has a code of conduct. And I want to show the whole thing to you right now. The whole code of conduct for X Libre is -ENOENT. Now, what does that mean? Well, ENOENT is an abbreviation for error, no entry. If you look on their GitHub page, for the GitHub for their code of conduct, they also have the 404 text in there. 404 error, code of conduct not found. So if you're worried about, what the, code of conduct is for this or whatnot, there's the details on that. Another little tidbit that's worth noting is that nobody seems to want to allow people to talk about the existence of X Libre. So if you go over to Reddit or Hacker News and you really do start some digging, you're going to find huge numbers of posts and comments where people are like, oh, well, it's great to see Xorg being forked because it seemed like it had been killed. It seemed like it was stagnant. The people at Red Hat and Xorg and FreeDesktop seem to not want it to live. So why don't we fork the gosh darn thing? And you see this on the NVIDIA subreddits, the Linux subreddits, and others all over the place, and they're all getting nuked. They're all getting deleted. banned, removed by moderators, etc. Again, this is happening on Reddit. This is happening on Hacker News. It's happening on multiple forums. They do not want people talking about X Libre. And it's very, very peculiar. It is incredibly peculiar, and it's worth noting that Red Hat seems to be a driving force behind it. Red Hat employees do not want people knowing that there is a fork of Xorg that is forked primarily not for political reasons, but because the developers and team behind Xorg did not want Xorg to continue. Right? They did not want to merge into new requests. They did not want to make new releases. Apparently, they've had releases, or they've had some bug fixes that have been ready to go for years. And Xorg is just like, no, we're not going to make a new release. It is peculiar. It is downright strange. What is going on at Red Hat where they want to silence a fork of an open source project that they themselves want to kill? Very, very weird. It's very peculiar, and I just wanted to point it out. Thank you to the Lunduke Journal subscribers for making this sort of reporting possible, because, you know, again, this is just, it's a day that ends in Y, so it's news that breaks at the Lunduke Journal first with details that you never find anywhere else. Hopefully this story gets covered by more tech news outlets in the days and weeks ahead, because I mean, we're talking X11 here. It's a pretty doggone important project. It's been around forever. And whatever your personal feelings on the design and technical issues of Xorg and X Windows versus Wayland or anything else, you can't disagree with the fact that this is important. This is an important project, whether it's alive or dead. So to see it being forked by prominent developers, and there's a lot of developers that seem to be getting involved in this right now, it's kind of exploding, and it's worth covering. So to those who are actually covering it, kudos. And to those who are seeming to try to censor it everywhere else, shame on you. And again, go to lunduke.com for more coverage of this and all the other stuff that the other tech news outlets don't want you to know about. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across I gotta go give my dog some attention. My dog just laid on my feet, and the last like 2 minutes, it's just been whining at me and just clearly needs a belly rub and a run around outside. So I'm gonna go do that right now. With that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the inner tubes, I do declare, end broadcast. I know I'm coming. I got your treats.